Hello, everyone. Welcome to Miss Valley Entertainment News. My name is Dread. So, I saw this video, and as you can just imagine, I'm going to have to take a look at this and react to this video and give my thoughts. This is by Estelden, and it's called Why I Am Critical of Avowed, plus brand new info. This should prove interesting. Now, I don't know whether or not, I'm not going to say Estelden has seen my video, but maybe someone has tipped him off that I did a video here on my channel called Quick Hit. Estelden's negativity and bias does him no favors, talking about his opinions, and they are opinions, about Avowed. And you can check out that video, well, by looking for it on my site. I'm not going to link it or whatever. But if you want to check it out, go ahead. I thought it was interesting. I found him to be very critical of Avowed. I found that there's been a loud section of people on the internet who are very, very critical of Avowed and Obsidian Entertainment in general. I don't really know why that is. I'm not really sure of the reason for it. I don't even want to think about it too far. I'm not one of them. I am not an Obsidian Entertainment fan. What I did is I am someone who did buy the Outer Worlds and did play the Outer Worlds and enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. A lot of people told me it was a Fallout clone. I've never played Fallout, but from what I see of videos of Fallout and what I see of videos of Outer World, they're two different games. Because they take a somewhat humorous approach in some things, people seem to link them together. They're clearly two separate and different games, in my opinion. Your opinion may vary and differ. I understand that, but that's my opinion. And I liked Avowed most of all. I liked the Outer Worlds most of all because it was a fun game. And when it comes to gaming, there are many people like myself who search for games that are fun. That means they might have some entertainment value to them. That means they might have some humor, and that's okay. We don't all have to demand the highest graphics, the highest resolutions, the badassness, the most badass combat, in order to have a game that's just enjoyable. And to me, that's what the Outer Worlds was. It was a fun, enjoyable game that I really didn't have many issues with. And so when the Outer Worlds 2 was announced, I got pretty excited about that. I did. I'm looking forward to that. I think it'll be good because I think the first one was good. Now, if you have a different opinion, I don't have an issue with people having different opinions on games or even gaming companies. What I do have kind of an issue with is somebody saying because your opinion differs, the game is bad. And then voicing that opinion to everyone and telling them the game is trash, the company is trash, it's garbage, blah, 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 blah. Clearly, it's just your opinion. And none of these people so far have backed it up with any facts that are relevant to me. And none of them trump the fact that, the Outer Worlds was fun, and I think Avowed looks like it's going to be fun as well. Looks like it might be more serious, but we don't have a lot of info out on it yet. We do have some video. We do have some developers talking about it. And this game's like probably 9, 10, 11 months away. Maybe even longer, but probably 9, 10, 11 months away. We don't have a date for it yet. So there's also improvements that can be made to the game in that time. If you think something needs an improvement, maybe it'll get it, maybe it won't. Maybe you're just asking for something that's you're going to find in a different game and ignore this one. That's fine too. But this is my kind of my feelings and thoughts about Avowed so far is it looks like an interesting and possibly quite fun game. It's in a fantasy setting that I like. And I have not heard or seen anything that has changed my opinion on that. To some of you, that is sacrilege. Some of you can't handle that. You're just quick to point out in a very nasty manner, some of you in a nasty manner, yes, that, Obsidian Entertainment is garbage, the Outer Worlds was garbage, and the Avowed looks like garbage. Again, it's all just your opinion. And nothing anyone has said has changed my opinion of Avowed, which is I think it's going to be good, but I really won't know until it comes out and I play it. Okay? So, I would love to get into what Estelden thinks of Avowed. This is a long-ass video. I don't know if I'm going to react to the whole thing. My feeling about Estelden, he's probably going to go in rather calmly and say, some of you actually like Avowed, and maybe some of my opinions here and over there might have been possibly a little harsh. So let's talk about that. And then within a few minutes, he'll go into doubling and tripling down on everything he's ever said bad about the game. Because that's kind of my feeling about Estelden. That's my thoughts on what's probably going to occur. I have not watched this. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Maybe I'll be happily wrong. But that's kind of what I'm expecting. So let's get into this. And away we go.
We've obviously been getting a lot of news about Avowed recently. We went from last year where it was one video, one interview, and then it was crickets for 6.
It wasn't even really a video. What we really got last year was basically a placeholder image, a placeholder moving image of darkness and like some big statue type thing and some flaming arrows falling through the sky. That's really all we got as far as much. People took that and people thought this is going to be a really dark, sick game. And you know what? It doesn't look like it's going to be dark and sick. Although we've only seen one small portion of the game so far, it looks like dark and sick is not how it's going to be. It's going to be bright and fun. That's bright, colorful, entertaining, not so hard that people can't get involved in it who maybe haven't played this kind of game before. Things I think are good things. Well, anyways, I'll let Estelden talk. Oh, do I have to? Yeah, let's let him talk.
6+ months, but now in 2024 we're getting plenty more footage. We're getting interviews with the director Kerry Patel.
Did you see what this person here said? Kimosabi, which that's just a racist name, by the way. Says the graphics. This is in June 12th, by the way, this comment. The graphics look fucking terrible, completely uninspired, and one generation behind everything else. See, I disagree with comments like that entirely. This is the person just shitting on this game for what I can see is no reason. If you don't like the graphics, that's one thing. Doesn't mean they look fucking terrible. If you don't like the graphics, it doesn't mean the graphics are completely uninspired. It just means you don't like them. And if you think the graphics aren't something you like, that doesn't mean they're one generation behind everything else. Kimosabi, with a racist name, I don't think you live in reality here. I mean, what did you see June 12th anyways of last year that we haven't seen? I don't know. But these are the kind of comments I don't like. You're trashing a game in a studio basically a year before it comes out. And you're basically lying. You're basically lying about it because not one of these things are true. There are thousands of people, maybe hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, who knows, who will tell you, no, the graphics don't look fucking terrible. They look great. They will tell you, no, the graphics are not completely uninspired. The graphics look fine. And no, the graphics are not one generation behind everything else. If you want graphics that are generation behind everything else, go look at Starfield. There's nothing wrong with any of this other than this person's bias. That's and their opinion, which they're trying to push on everyone else in order to make themselves feel right. Anyways, I'm sorry, Estelden. I cut you off again, buddy. Go for it.
And despite all that, I had the general feeling that most people were less excited for the game now than they were even when it was first announced.
And I will say a caveat to that. When it first came out and people were talking about it being a Skyrim clone or being the thing to take down Skyrim, I got pretty excited. And then I started thinking about Pillars of Eternity games and all the various character choice and that you could form and shape your character how you wanted and all the different things you could do in those games. Got pretty damn excited. And yes, when they started to pare some of that back and said it's not going to be completely open world like everybody thought, we're going to, your character is only going to be one of two races. You're going to be kind of locked a little bit into what you have to do. I was hesitant, and I will fully admit I was a little hesitant. I was like, oh, they're rolling back some of the stuff I was really excited about. I got excited again when I saw the recent gameplay stuff and the developers' interviews, okay? So I've had my misgivings on this game as well. Right now, I don't have any.
So they're not really making the best of impressions. Now, that said, I thought the game had absolutely no fans. Pretty much no one was excited for this. It was hard to find people being enthusiastic.
You were wrong, and I think Estelden tends to live off the negativity. And I know as YouTubers, we all realize that negative titles and negative videos get way more views than positive. So people, if you want to see more positive titles, more positive videos on gaming stuff, support those positive videos. Support them. Encourage the people who do it. Tell your friends to go check them out. Like them. Subscribe to those people. Leave nice comments thanking them for their work. Those are the kind of things that you can do to help there be more positivity in the gaming industry, especially here on YouTube, because again, it's unfortunate, but negative stuff gets way more views, even if it's under lies.
I think I might have been wrong about that, because since then a lot of people...
Whoa, what? You saying he was wrong? I want to hear that again. That's a terrible image just Delta. I do apologize. Okay. Moving on.
I think I might have been wrong about that, because since then a lot of people have been pushing back against that criticism. They're looking forward to the game, and I don't think it's pure...
A lot of people pushing back against that criticism. Stelton's negativity and bias does him no favors. And I tried to be nice in this video as well. Honestly, I think he's better than this, but I think he gets caught up in the negativity, gets more clicks.
Because of what they've actually seen. I think some of them are fans of Obsidian, and they are just expecting great things for that reason.
Never seen New Vegas, Fallout New Vegas. Never seen it played. Never played it. Don't really have any desire to. And again, the only other game I know from Obsidian Entertainment is The Outer Worlds, which I enjoyed, and I enjoyed more than I thought I was going to. I couldn't even tell you any other games they've made. I have no idea. And I don't know any of the people in there except for Carrie Patel because I've seen her in an interview. That's it. So wouldn't call myself an Obsidian Entertainment fan. I just don't dislike them like some people do.
Because of the developer. So I want to speak about some of those defenders and maybe just have a look at some of their arguments. And I also want to go over what Carrie Patel, the game director, has been saying in interviews over the last couple of days. There's a little bit of new info that's gone out there. What I want to say firstly with Avowed is I am not really excited by it. I haven't seen anything that excites me.
We know.
And I don't really try and go into these upcoming games and hate on them from the start. Normally, there is a reason. I mean,
I don't even know if Estelden is necessarily a fantasy fan. I'm not really sure what kind of games he prefers for himself. Perhaps it's not even his style of game at all.
I'm skeptical sometimes, but there's usually a few reasons for that. The biggest one for me is, what did the developer release last time? I'm not talking about what they released 15, 20 years ago. What was their last game?
Was The Outer Worlds their last game? If it was, then hey, we could go right now onto Steam and you can look at the user scores for it. If you got Steam on your computer, go check it out. Go check out the user scores for The Outer Worlds. You'll see it was universally liked.
Or at least last major game. Because I will say with Obsidian, they did release Pentiment, which is a very good title. I don't think it's really indicative of the direction of the studio, given it was made by a very small team, Josh Sawyer and a handful of other devs. But that was kind of the old school game development style, where you get a few nerds in a room.
No idea.
They're passionate. They make the game they want to make. It's unfortunate that that is so rare these days. And I mean, if Pentiment was this huge AAA game and it was that quality, I'd probably be excited for Avowed. But unfortunately...
Anybody know what game he's talking about? Anybody ever played the game he's talking about? Let me know in the comments below, because I have no idea what it is.
Obsidian's bigger projects, they haven't really been like that. The last major one is The Outer Worlds.
And I think Outer Worlds was, again, intentionally not as big of a project as people maybe expected it to be. It had zones, planets that you visited, and you went to zones on the planets. It's not complete open world. You don't have freedom to go anywhere. It's not that kind of game. But again, people bought it. People enjoyed it. People gave it good scores on Steam. And I'm expecting a lot out of Avowed too. I don't have any problems anymore with the fact that they scaled the game back, the scope of the game. It's smarter. Do what you're good at. And if you feel like branching out later when you have more experience and trying something else, then maybe you will at some point. But in the meantime, stick with what you're good at. Smaller scope games. Nothing wrong with that.
And I just found that to be pretty mediocre. And I think that was made in such a way where nothing really went wrong with it. They had Tim Kaine, the creator of Fallout, working on it, experienced game director, very experienced developer, and they did sort of what they wanted to do. It just wasn't really a memorable game. And I was...
Well, for you, I found it memorable. I could talk to you about all kinds of quests and things that went on in the Outer Worlds that I really enjoyed. As well as I can remember the one quest that frustrated me. I could talk to you about the companions and how much I enjoyed them, even when I didn't think I was going to at the beginning. I could talk to you about the ship and the travel. I could talk to you about the different worlds, where they were similar, where they weren't. I think the game was very memorable to me. And again, he says there's nothing wrong with it. He just didn't like it. So are you judging Avowed based on the fact that you played the Outer Worlds and just didn't really enjoy it, even though there's nothing wrong with it?
I was excited for that. I wasn't looking at that with skepticism like I am doing with Avowed. I thought it was going to be fantastic, the way they marketed it. It's going to be like Fallout meets Firefly. Oh, you're going to be making choices. We're getting back to it. Good dialogue systems, all the old school RPG roots. But then it released, and while it sort of ticked boxes, like on paper, it did all the things that you might like in an RPG, it was just kind of lacking the soul. It just didn't really have in it what I really enjoyed in the original Fallout. So,
okay, so you're expecting it to be like Fallout because one of the guys from Fallout was working on it. So this is a guy who went into the Outer Worlds with preconceived ideas of what it was going to be. Found out it wasn't like Fallout, which everybody says it's a Fallout clone. He says it's not like Fallout, and because he wanted it to be like Fallout, he didn't feel like it had any soul. So by being its own thing, instead of copying something else you liked, you think it lacks soul. People, opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one. But you know what? Everyone's opinion only means something to them. Doesn't mean anything to anybody else because it's not your opinion, my opinion. It's just that person's opinion. As you can see, though, you can see why I use the word bias. It's not like necessarily he's got a hatred for anything, but he's biased because the Outer Worlds, he expected it to be like Fallout that he loved, and he found it wasn't like Fallout. So he found, like, even though there was no problem with the game, he just didn't enjoy it because he had a preconceived notion. And now he probably got a preconceived notion of Avowed right off the bat. They started paring things back and saying, no, we're actually going to concentrate more on what we're good at. And he got pissy about it. And even though the game is basically a year away from coming out, he's talking bad about it already. So this is why I say bias. Something has biased him against this. And that's his experience with the Outer Worlds, wanting it to be like Fallout that he loved, and it wasn't like Fallout. And I think to say a game lacks soul because it doesn't copy another game you love is kind of dumb. I really wish Estelda would go back and look at his video and realize that's kind of a dumb comment to make. You should be better than that, Estelda. You really should. And I mean that heartfully. You really should be better than that.
Even something like New Vegas, that had a fair bit of passion. It was a fantastic game. That, to me, is sort of golden era Obsidian. So that is a major reason for skepticism from me, is that the Outer Worlds is Obsidian's...
So again, not only did you want the Outer Worlds to be like Fallout, but you also loved Fallout New Vegas. So really, you just wanted a Fallout clone. Another Fallout clone was what you're looking for. You didn't get it, and now you're upset with Obsidian. Still to this day.
Last major game, and I don't think it was that great. And that, again, smooth production. Avowed has not had outs, or even something like New Vegas, that had a fair bit of passion. It was a fantastic game. That, to me, is sort of golden era Obsidian. So that is a major reason for skepticism from me, is that the Outer Worlds is Obsidian's last major game, and I don't think it was that great. And that, again, smooth production. Avowed
didn't tick all the boxes for him. His box has to be a Fallout clone. Needs to be like Fallout New Vegas, but in space. And it wasn't. So it didn't tick the box for him, what he was expecting. That's fine. If a game isn't what you expect, that's fine. Doesn't mean the game's bad.
has not had a smooth production. It's gone through development hell to some extent. It has had multiple game directors, many people coming and going. Just feels a little bit odd. And I'm going to address some of that in a second, because the development hell, we know a little bit about that. So I will speak to that too. But
only because
the other reason I'm not really looking forward to it is I've just used my eyes. I've seen the trailers that they've shown. I've listened to what the devs have been saying, and nothing really grabs me at all. And when you...
So again, he's not talking about things being bad. Just like, yeah, nothing excites me. Because he wants it to be like Fallout. Oh, my lad, your other game that I played wasn't like Fallout. You so disappointed me. You're just a big disappointment. Oh, I want this to be like Skyrim. Oh, it's not quite like Skyrim. Oh, that disappoints me. Grow up. Games should stand on their own, not be compared to something else. Come on, Estelden. Being ridiculous.
You fail to market the game and actually get me excited through 1 or 2 minutes of footage. It's like,
well, you know what? There's a lot of people who are excited about the footage they've seen. There's a lot of people who are excited about what the developers have gone through in their interviews. And there are others who are on the fence and they're like hopeful. They're like, okay, well, we'll check it out when it comes out. It might be decent. And yes, there are some out there who are very negative. But I don't understand their reasoning for it. Because none of the reasoning to me makes sense. Including yours.
It's like, well, what's the rest of the game going to be like? You can't even find 2 minutes worth of entertaining footage. You can't put that together.
It was completely entertaining,
and I will say this, there are exceptions to that rule.
It
there are games that were marketed poorly and ended up being incredible. Prey by Arcane is an example. Before it came out, I was looking forward to it because Arcane at that stage had a good track record. This was well before Redfall, even though Redfall was actually the game this team...
And please note, I'm not saying Avowed is going to be the game of the year. I'm not saying it's going to be RPG of the year. I'm not saying it's going to be one of the best-selling games of the year. I'm just saying when it comes out, I'm going to purchase it, unless something else goes really wonky in the meantime. And I'm going to play it, and I think I'm going to get enjoyment out of it. I'm going to look at it and be like, hey, that was worth my money. I had a fun time. Finished the game. It was great. And move on. And that's really all I'm looking for. And there are many of you out there like who are like me in that sense. You want a game that's fun. So stop listening to people who are just negative about this shit. Yeah, again, you can go back to Madrid. You're negative about Starfield and Bethesda. I'm negative about Starfield and Bethesda based on all the stuff I've laid out in many videos. Yes, and you'll notice I didn't start ragging on Starfield until it's been out for a couple of months. Not 9, 10, 11 months before it came out. Okay?
Being made after Prey, so maybe I should have been a little bit skeptical of the team in general. But what happened with Prey is it was kind of marketed as, I think, like an action game from memory. I don't remember them really saying, hey, this is a bigger movie. Odd that they didn't. And I feel the market is there. You've just got to make a good game. Systems, and that's her passion. Not very good. There was actually nothing they presented that was great. Some of what I see raised is this comparison to Skyrim. So there's been talk previously about, oh, is Avowed going to be...
Well, no. And I don't believe the devs or any of the team ever said this is going to be like Skyrim. In fact, when people said it's going to be like Skyrim, they backed off of that. They were like, no. We're not saying that. It's the people... Again, with expectations that it was going to rival Skyrim, it was going to be the big competitor for Skyrim. No, it's not. It's its own brand. It's its own entity. It's its own game. It's completely separate from Skyrim. It's not trying to do everything Skyrim did. It's not. It's just an RPG, people. Set in a world they've already created to put games out in that did well.
Obsidian's next Skyrim. And then some people's defense to that when the news sort of broke, oh, the game's not going to be like Skyrim, it's going to be more like the Outer Worlds, it's going to have those hub worlds, similar to other games, like maybe Dragon Age, Mass Effect, Knights of the Old Republic, many others, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 1. But the problem there is that people have started to say, well, it doesn't need to be like Skyrim, what are you talking about? Who cares? Not every game has to be an open world.
They're right.
Now, I agree with that. I don't think that every game needs to be an open world. I'm not even sure that that would be Obsidian's strength. I mean, Fallout New Vegas, it's a fantastic game. Is it great purely because of the open world? I don't really think so. I mean, the freedom is very good, but I don't think that the actual world outside of the main settlements, the main points of interest, is really special or anything. I think it comes down to the characters, the faction.
I feel like this whole video is him just trying to convince people he's right and that it's garbage, when it's really just his opinion.
Everything else. Bethesda probably have done better open worlds than Obsidian. I think that is fair to say, Fallout included. But the issue with that is that's not really...
Haven't played every Bethesda game, haven't played every Obsidian game, can't answer that question. Don't.
Honest argument. People aren't salty because the game isn't like Skyrim. Their concern is that Obsidian originally talked about it being like their Skyrim.
No, show me the quote. Show me the quote, because I don't remember them ever saying that. I remember other people around them saying it about their stuff. I don't remember them saying it ever. So until somebody shows me that quote and links me the article or the video or whatever where they actually say that, I don't believe that's true.
And then they changed their tune. It seems like the game got watered down or something, or they ran into too many problems, and they kind of had...
What problems? What problems have the developers told Estelden that he's sharing with us that they had? He's saying this game is just, it's in development hell, it had problems, they lied about it being Skyrim, and then they backed away from it being Skyrim because they weren't able to make a Skyrim, and people aren't even mad about that. They're just upset because I have no fucking idea what he's talking in circles, people. He is talking in circles. He's not making any sense.
To scale the game back, and that's what I talk about when I...
And there's nothing wrong with a developer, while they're developing a game, saying, you know what? Our original vision for the game is a bit too large. We're going to scale it back more into our comfort zone to make a good game. What the hell is wrong with that? Why would any gamer in their right mind be upset about that? Seriously. Again, the developers never said this is going to be Skyrim. I don't understand what issue a gamer would have with a developer, while developing a game, early in the development of the game, would say, you know what, we're scaling back kind of the initial plans we had, making it a little more streamlined, a little more into our pocket, so we can make sure to make the best game possible. Did a bunch of people like pre-buy this game? There's no pre-sales for this game yet. Okay? There's not a bunch of people who went out and said, oh my god, this is going to be an open world Skyrim. This is going to be so amazing. And then they scaled that back and they're like, oh, we were lied to. They took our money and they lied to us. No, none of that's happened here. But you're acting, Estelden, like that's what happened. It's because of your bias, which we now know goes back to the Outer Worlds was not like Fallout enough for you. You know what? I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to stop right here. This is the kind of stuff I don't like. This is what I call lousy reporting, okay? You're bashing a game because of your own bias and your own preconceptions of other previous games, preconceptions that were wrong of you to make in the first place. And you're even saying there was nothing wrong with those previous games. I just didn't enjoy them. So now, therefore, my bias is causing me to try to get a group of people involved in mass hatred towards this game and bashing it. What is the point? What is the point? Is Obsidian Entertainment somehow this big bad company that us gamers have to take down for the good of gaming? If it is, what have they done? I don't know anything. Do any of you know anything that they've done that suddenly they need to be stopped? Then what is the campaign to drive a wedge between your average gamer and this company? To make them only hear about how terrible this game is, how outdated this game is. It's in development hell. It's uninspired. It's look fucking terrible. The combat's horrible. Blah, 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 blah. It's all garbage, people. It's just, you can fill yourself full of opinions, and that's fine. But understand they're just an opinion. Make your own opinion. If you find your opinion always going along with what you've already heard, you're either surrounding yourself only with those who think in a certain way, or I don't even know. Like, sometimes you just have to be like, hey, I wonder if my opinion that I'm forming about this game right now is because I've heard this about it. If I could put that aside for a moment and just look at it for myself, how do I feel about it? That's all I'm saying. I want people to give this game a chance and stop trying to cancel this company and cancel this game for no reason. So I'm not going to cover the rest of this. I will link the original video down below if you guys want to watch it. I'm not going to bother. I see this crazy circular logic where I was right. Stellan is just trying to prove his point by circling it and then drawing other things from other games and other experiences into it. But he's still saying the same thing. It's all based on his opinion on the Outer Worlds, which was based on what he wanted the game to be, which was a clone of a game he liked. It wasn't, and now he's got a bias against Obsidian Entertainment for it. And now he sees everything as negative. So be careful when you watch videos. My God, you could watch a video where somebody's negative about something, but use your own noodle. Use your own noodle. Don't get fooled by this stuff. Remember, clickbait does exist, especially on the internet. Well, where else would it exist? This is what I'm telling you. I still have high hopes for About. I don't have super high hopes. I do not have these hopes that are just obscurely Mount Everest high here. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. I'm firmly grounded on this, and I have been shaky at times on this game. Currently, I have no issues with this game, and I'm looking forward to it. But that opinion might change with more info coming out as we go, for sure. And this game still has a long ways to go before it launches. So just keep an open mind, people, and don't get sucked in by this stuff. And that is your public service message from Miss Valley Entertainment News. My name is Dread. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Good night.